Now, Tom Coughlin was introduced in Jacksonville along with Doug Marrone, and you're talking about, Craig, a 30-year-old.
This is very interesting what happened yesterday. And what I told you this before the press conference.
What's that?
You want me to tell you? I thought you were going to get to it.
I mean, I'm going to get to funny clips. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about
first.
power and control.
I told you this before the press conference. I'm in charge. All right. This is what it is. Men, I'm in charge. Boats, all in, military. So Doug Marrone wanted to hire anybody? Anybody?
Henderson.
Anybody?
Yes. Donnie Henderson.
Former New York Jet.
Donnie Henderson.
Coaching staff member Donnie Henderson.
Right.
Doug Marrone, as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, said, I want to bring Donnie Henderson in as one of my coaches. Tom Coughlin said, no, you won't. Well, why won't I? Because 7 years ago, when the Giants were still at Albany for training camp, the New York Jets went to Albany for 2 days to have one of those training camp practices and scrimmages. The Jets got off the bus apparently all pissed off that they were on a bus to begin with. They go out of the very first practice and pads are on and the Jets go out like it's an AFC championship game and start cracking heads. Tom Coughlin was not a believer for that particular practice in full-on contact. He blamed Henderson for doing it. So Doug Marrone, 7 years later, wants to hire Henderson for his staff. I'm the head coach. You've always said head coach should be able to bring his guys in, right? Tom Coughlin goes, not on my watch.
Kiss my ass.
I'm in charge. And that whole thing's a foobar.
I would think you love this.
I love it.
The guy's holding a grudge.
I love it.
I love the grudge.
You love grudge holders.
You love grudges.
Yes.
You're the biggest grudge holder.
You screwed me 7 years ago. I'm screwing you now.
No, you're missing the point.
No, that is the point.
I love the vindictive nature of Tom Coughlin.
Awesome.
But my point is, if you're Doug Marrone, you already have a problem.
Well, the way he spoke so glowingly of Coughlin yesterday, that may be the case in the future, but right now it doesn't seem like he's worried about it.
So let me hear some of the stuff that Coughlin said.
Well, he did acknowledge, you guys are talking about a 30-year-old being a coach, and Coughlin's in his 70s. He's around these younger players. He acknowledges he's got to find new ways to communicate.
The best way you can educate your young people is through stories and parables.
He continues to try.
Wrong again. My play. And, Coach, do you think one guy in that roster knows what a parable is? Okay, good point.
Not.
Good point. Now, what I like to do with my players, is during a training camp, I sit down bedside, and I read them all a story. Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. The players love a good bedtime story.
From Dr. Seuss.
From Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
Sometimes I have Steve Summers, an old friend of mine from WFAN, and he comes in, and he reads Green Eggs and Ham. Put the players right to bed. What would that sound
I do
like?
not like green eggs and ham.
Do you have the long version?
Short story, huh?
Parables and stories. Meanwhile, can you imagine you're like a 20-year-old kid right out of college.
You think Odell Beckham Jr. wants to hear a parable or story?
You're Odell Beckham Jr. You got
There's a wallet in my pocket.
Stop a second, right? And a 75-year-old man walks into your room.
Yeah.
He goes, son, sit down. I want to tell you a story. And you're like hip hop. You don't stop, right? You just listen to your music. You want to be left alone. You're probably Snapchatting and FaceTiming and all this other crap, right? And a guy literally old enough to be your great grandfather. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna tell you a story. The year was 1954. I was driving a Studebaker to go see Elvis Presley.
Who's that, Coach?
Who? And the guy, you got to indulge him. He's 75 and he's the boss, right? Storytelling.
He says,
and then We pulled into the drive-in theater.
A drive-in theater. What's that, Coach?
That's right. Tom Coughlin telling stories. It's great. So then I had this great idea. And I thought I would use a parable and a metaphor.
Jack and Jill went up the hill to get some steroids. Oh!
So I told the story about burning boats. We missed the playoffs 5 years in a row. I'm glad Tom Coughlin's back, man.
He is back.
When you stop learning, you might as well be dead.
Wow.
That's very.
Give me the gun.
And he also said, just lastly, the Jaguars better get ready to work because old people do.
Pablo Casals is the greatest cellist of the 20th century.
Jesus Christ.
At 95 years old, practiced 6 hours a day.
Can you imagine the athletes that are going to sit in that room and listen to stories about Pablo Casals? Could you possibly imagine that? Yo, fellas, your man's crazy. It's crazy.
Yo, man, what the hell is he talking about?
Yo, Trey Songz, that old man is crazy.
What is he talking about?
Pablo Casals. I can't wait for like one of those like a guy who's close to the ball player who writes a rap song about Tom Coughlin and his parables and his stories. I want to tell you, let me tell you something. I knew Pablo Casals back in 1879. He's still alive. Man practices 6 hours a day. You know, he's a great celloist, which reminds me of the single greatest penis of all time. I mean, this guy practiced his penis 7 hours a day until he was 103. All day. Penis, penis, penis. He invented chopsticks.
What's his name, Al Dukes?
His name was Alexander Brom.
Brom.
His friends called him Mozart.
All right, Chris.
You know,
There was once a pianist. His name was Johann Sebastian Bach. They made a movie about him. Amadeus.
that might be the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever. That guy makes millions of dollars.
Yes.
What a great country we live in.
Talking about baseball.
Yeah, they actually named a fish after him. You got to turn my machine up, Eddie. I said, you lose the whole moment.
The penis head
There
fish.
you go. Oh, it's all lost now, isn't it?
Tomorrow, the Seahawks.